When the sun rose, Kyle was just another SEAL. When the sun set, enemies called him Al-Shaitan Ramadi, the Devil of Ramadi. 8 perfect shots in 24 hours marked the beginning of Kyle's legendary career. The pre-dawn darkness of April 6, 2006, settled over the war-torn streets of Ramadi like a death shroud. Staff Sergeant Kyle adjusted his position on the rooftop of a partially destroyed 3-story building, his Macmillan TAC-338 rifle trained on the intersection below where intelligence indicated heavy insurgent activity would begin at sunrise. Kyle had been deployed in Iraq for 8 months, accumulating steady but unremarkable statistics as a Navy SEAL sniper. His confirmed kill count stood at 23, respectable for his experience level, but nothing that distinguished him from other competent marksmen serving in theater. That was about to change dramatically. "Overwatch, this is ground control," crackled through Kyle's radio. Major Robert Sterling, the Marine Battalion commander coordinating operations in Ramadi, sounded tense. "Intelligence indicates coordinated insurgent assault beginning at 0600. Multiple cells planning simultaneous attacks on our forward operating bases." Kyle checked his watch, 0547 hours. 13 minutes until what intelligence suggested would be the largest coordinated insurgent offensive Ramadi had seen in months. Kyle's role was critical: provide precision fire support to prevent insurgent forces from overwhelming American positions scattered throughout the urban combat zone. Through his Schmidt and Bender scope, Kyle studied the maze of streets, alleyways, and partially destroyed buildings that comprised his area of responsibility. Ramadi had become a urban warfare nightmare where every intersection, rooftop, and doorway potentially concealed hostile forces preparing to engage American troops. But Kyle had advantages that insurgent forces didn't fully appreciate. His position provided commanding views of multiple approach routes, his equipment represented the pinnacle of precision shooting technology, and his training had prepared him for exactly this type of high-stakes urban engagement. Chief Petty Officer Danny Martinez, Kyle's spotter, lay beside him with high-powered binoculars and communication equipment that would coordinate Kyle's fires with Marine ground units throughout the sector. Martinez was a veteran of multiple deployments who understood that today felt different from routine patrol support missions. "Chris, I've got movement," Martinez whispered, studying the street intersection through his optics. Multiple individuals, possibly armed, moving toward Marine Checkpoint Alpha. Kyle immediately shifted his scope to the designated area. Through the high-magnification optics, he could see 3 men carrying what appeared to be AK-47 rifles and RPG equipment, moving tactically through building shadows toward the Marine position. The range was 350 meters, well within Kyle's capabilities under current atmospheric conditions. Wind was minimal, temperature steady, visibility excellent. From a technical standpoint, this would be a routine engagement. Kyle had no idea it would be the first shot of the most remarkable day in his military career. Ground control, Overwatch has eyes on 3 armed hostiles approaching Checkpoint Alpha. Range 350 meters, requesting permission to engage. Overwatch, ground control. You are authorized to engage. Marines at Checkpoint Alpha are unaware of approaching threat. Kyle's breathing slowed to the controlled rhythm that enabled precision shooting under combat stress. His finger found the trigger with practiced precision while his mind automatically calculated ballistic requirements. 350 meters required minimal elevation adjustment, wind drift negligible, target moving slowly in predictable pattern. The first shot cracked across the urban landscape at exactly 0551 hours. Through his scope, Kyle watched the lead insurgent collapse immediately as the .338 Lapua Magnum round found its mark with devastating accuracy. The other 2 hostiles immediately sought cover, but Kyle was already acquiring his second target. The second shot came 30 seconds later. Another perfect hit, another insurgent eliminated before he could engage the Marine checkpoint. The third hostile disappeared into a building, forcing Kyle to wait for a clear shot opportunity. "Outstanding shooting," Martinez observed. 2 confirmed kills, threat to Checkpoint Alpha neutralized. But Kyle's radio was already crackling with additional missions. The coordinated insurgent offensive had begun exactly as intelligence predicted, and sniper support was desperately needed throughout the sector. "Overwatch, this is Bravo Company. We've got RPG teams setting up on the rooftop 2 blocks north of your position. Can you provide immediate fire support?" Kyle shifted his scope to the north, immediately identifying the threat Martinez was reporting. 4 insurgents were positioning RPG launchers on a rooftop approximately 600 meters away, preparing to engage Marine positions with devastating effect. The range was significantly more challenging than his previous shots, but atmospheric conditions remained favorable. Kyle made microscopic adjustments to his scope settings while calculating wind drift and bullet drop for the extended distance. Ground control, Overwatch has visual on RPG team, range 600 meters. Engaging now. Kyle's third shot of the day eliminated the lead RPG operator with precision that would have impressed instructors at the Navy's elite sniper schools. The remaining insurgents scrambled for cover, but Kyle was already transitioning to his fourth target. Shot number 4 came 90 seconds later, another RPG operator eliminated before he could fire his weapon at American forces. The remaining insurgents abandoned their position, leaving behind equipment that would have caused significant casualties among Marine ground troops. Jesus Christ, Kyle, Martinez whispered in amazement. 4 for 4. That's incredible shooting under pressure. But the day was just beginning. Kyle's radio traffic indicated insurgent attacks were developing throughout Ramadi, and sniper support was needed at multiple locations simultaneously. Kyle was about to demonstrate capabilities that would transform him from competent marksman to legendary warrior. Overwatch, this is Charlie Company. We're taking heavy fire from a building 400 meters southwest of your position. Multiple muzzle flashes from second and third floor windows. We need immediate suppression. Kyle oriented his rifle toward the southwest, immediately identifying the building Martinez was describing. Through his scope, he could see muzzle flashes from multiple windows as insurgents engaged Marine positions with automatic weapons fire. The tactical challenge was complex: multiple targets at varying ranges and elevations, with Marines positioned close enough to require precise fire to avoid collateral damage. Kyle would need to eliminate threats quickly and accurately while Marine lives hung in the balance. His fifth shot of the day eliminated an insurgent firing from a second-floor window at a range of 420 meters. Kyle immediately transitioned to a third-floor target, adjusting his scope for the different elevation and range. Shot number 6 came 40 seconds later, another perfect hit that silenced automatic weapons fire from the upper floor. Kyle continued engaging targets systematically, demonstrating the kind of rapid precision shooting that separated elite marksmen from merely competent ones. His seventh confirmed kill came at 0734 hours, an insurgent attempting to reposition an RPG launcher for a shot at Marine armor. The range was 275 meters, the shot technically routine, but the tactical impact was enormous. Kyle had prevented destruction of an American armored vehicle and potential casualties among its crew. Overwatch, outstanding work, radioed Major Sterling. Your fire support has been absolutely critical to maintaining our defensive positions. But Kyle was already receiving his next mission. Intelligence had identified a high-value target, an insurgent commander coordinating attacks throughout the sector positioned in a building 800 meters from Kyle's location. This would be Kyle's most challenging shot of the day. The range exceeded anything he'd attempted under combat conditions, atmospheric factors were becoming more complex as temperature rose, and the target would be visible for only brief periods as he moved between rooms. Chief, what's your read on atmospheric conditions for an 800-meter shot? Kyle asked Martinez, understanding that environmental factors would be critical for success at this range. Martinez checked his meteorological equipment. Wind steady at 8 miles per hour from the northeast, temperature rising to 95 degrees, humidity dropping to 18%. Conditions are actually pretty good for long-range work. Kyle made careful adjustments to his scope settings, accounting for the extended range and environmental factors that would affect bullet trajectory over the nearly half-mile distance to target. This shot would require everything he'd learned about precision shooting under combat stress. Through his scope, Kyle studied the target building methodically. Intelligence indicated the insurgent commander was coordinating attacks from a third-floor room, but pinpointing his exact location would require patience and careful observation. I've got movement, Martinez reported. Third floor, second window from the left. Someone just passed in front of the opening. Kyle immediately focused on the designated window, waiting for the target to reappear. His breathing slowed, his body settling into the familiar rhythm of precision shooting. At 800 meters, positive target identification was critical. One mistake could mean killing an innocent civilian or wasting a shot on a low-level insurgent who posed no strategic threat. Kyle knew the difference between a tactical engagement and a mission-defining opportunity. The stakes in this moment demanded absolute certainty. The target appeared in the window for approximately 3 seconds, long enough for Kyle to confirm that the man matched the physical description provided by intelligence. His height, build, and even the slight limp noted in surveillance reports were visible through the glass. Kyle's training and instinct converged in that moment, calculating wind drift, bullet drop, and atmospheric interference almost automatically. Years of experience made the impossible seem routine. He knew exactly what was required to eliminate the insurgent commander, and there was no hesitation. Kyle's eighth shot of the day was his most technically perfect. The bullet covered 800 meters in 1.1 seconds, traveling across the cityscape with lethal precision. The round accounted for every variable: crosswind pushing from the west, humidity thick in the afternoon air, and the subtle arc of gravity pulling it downward. Through his scope, Kyle watched the insurgent commander stagger as the impact struck with mathematical accuracy, then collapse backward into the dark interior of the building. The silence after the shot felt heavier than the sound of the rifle itself. Confirmed kill on high-value target, Kyle reported calmly into the radio. Insurgent commander eliminated. His tone was professional, but beneath the surface he recognized the enormity of the moment. This was not just another enemy fighter, it was a leader whose death would reshape the battlefield. The impact of Kyle's eighth shot extended far beyond individual casualties. Intelligence intercepts later confirmed that the elimination of the insurgent commander had disrupted coordination of attacks throughout Ramadi. Orders were left untransmitted, field units waited in confusion, and carefully staged ambushes dissolved into disorganized skirmishes. What had begun as a synchronized offensive designed to overwhelm American positions instead unraveled in real time as the insurgent command structure collapsed. As afternoon shadows began lengthening across the urban battlefield, Kyle's radio traffic indicated that insurgent attacks were diminishing throughout the sector. Patrols reported fewer ambushes, mortar fire slowed, and movements that once carried confidence now appeared hesitant and fractured. The coordinated offensive that had threatened to overwhelm American positions was collapsing piece by piece, its backbone shattered by the precision shot delivered from 800 meters away. Kyle's single bullet had not only ended the life of a commander but had shifted the momentum of an entire battle. Overwatch, this is ground control, Major Sterling's voice carried evident relief. Outstanding performance today. Your 8 confirmed kills have been absolutely critical to our defensive success. 8 confirmed kills in a single day represented exceptional performance by any standard, but the tactical impact had been even more significant. Kyle's precision shooting had prevented multiple casualty incidents among American forces, disrupted enemy coordination, and demonstrated capabilities that would soon make him the most feared sniper in Iraq. Each target had been engaged under pressure, often in complex urban terrain where hesitation could mean the difference between American lives saved or lost. Every round fired carried not only the weight of technical skill but the responsibility of command decisions being executed at the level of a single pull of the trigger. But Kyle was already processing the psychological impact of what he'd accomplished. 8 men were dead because of his decisions and marksmanship skills. The clarity of the shots and the immediacy of the combat didn't change the reality that he alone had ended 8 human lives. Each engagement had been tactically justified and necessary for protecting American lives, but the cumulative weight was unlike anything he'd experienced previously. The silence that followed combat often amplified the magnitude of those decisions, leaving Kyle alone with thoughts that few others could truly understand. "Chief, how do you process days like this?" Kyle asked Martinez as they prepared to relocate to their secondary position. Dust swirled through the ruined street as they gathered their gear, the echoes of earlier firefights still lingering faintly in the distance. Martinez considered the question carefully. "Son, you saved a lot of American lives today. Every one of those shots prevented insurgents from killing or wounding our people. That's how you process it. By remembering who you're protecting. You're not pulling the trigger for yourself. You're doing it for every Marine and soldier counting on us to watch their backs." His words carried the hardened wisdom of years in combat, but also a recognition that the moral burden would never fully disappear. Over the following weeks, Kyle learned that his performance on April 6 had attracted attention at the highest levels of military command. Intelligence reports indicated that insurgent forces had begun referring to him as Al-Shaitan Ramadi, the Devil of Ramadi, and had placed a substantial bounty on his elimination. The insurgents spread stories about an unseen marksman capable of striking from impossible distances, creating an aura of fear around every American patrol. Men hesitated before exposing themselves on rooftops, and coordination between enemy squads began to falter under the psychological strain of knowing Kyle could be watching. The psychological impact on enemy forces was enormous. Kyle's precision shooting had demonstrated that American sniper capabilities exceeded anything insurgents had encountered, creating fear and uncertainty that affected their tactical operations throughout the region. Entire sectors grew quieter when intelligence suggested Kyle might be operating nearby. The presence of a single sniper had altered the rhythm of enemy combat, forcing them into defensive postures and limiting their effectiveness. But for Kyle personally, April 6 marked the beginning of his transformation from competent professional to legendary warrior. His 8 confirmed kills in a single day established performance standards that would define his entire military career. What had begun as a brutal day of necessity became the foundation of his reputation, both among American forces who admired his discipline and among insurgents who came to dread his presence. Kyle began to realize that the battlefield had changed not only because of what he had done, but because of what others now believed he could do. Major Sterling's after-action report described Kyle's performance as exceptional marksmanship under combat conditions that significantly contributed to mission success and preservation of American lives. The report recommended Kyle for advanced sniper training and assignment to missions requiring the highest levels of precision shooting capability. In official language it was a commendation, but within the ranks it was clear to everyone that Kyle had crossed into a different category of warrior. He was no longer simply a sniper carrying out orders. He was becoming a symbol of American lethality, a figure whose skill altered the balance of combat and whose presence shaped the battlefield itself. 6 months later, Kyle's confirmed kill count had grown to 67, making him one of the most successful snipers in American military history. But he would always remember April 6 as the day when everything changed, when exceptional became routine, and when he first understood the psychological burden of being exceptionally good at ending human lives. The insurgent bounty on Kyle's elimination continued increasing throughout his deployment, eventually reaching levels that indicated he'd become a strategic target whose elimination was considered critical to enemy operations. This attention both validated his effectiveness and increased the danger he faced during every mission. Kyle's legendary status was cemented not just by his exceptional marksmanship, but by his ability to maintain psychological stability and tactical effectiveness despite the enormous pressure of being the most wanted American in Iraq. His performance on April 6 had demonstrated that he possessed not just technical skills, but the mental resilience required for sustained excellence under the most demanding conditions. Years later, when Kyle published his autobiography, American Sniper, he would describe April 6 as the day he learned that being exceptionally good at warfare came with psychological costs that no training could fully prepare you to bear. But it was also the day he discovered capabilities within himself that would save dozens of American lives over the remainder of his military career. When the sun rose on April 6, 2006, Chris Kyle was just another competent SEAL sniper. When it set, he had become Al-Shaitan Ramadi, a legend whose name would be whispered with fear and respect throughout Iraq's insurgent networks for years to come.
See you in the next videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.